listen up, stepping out. If you're talking about fun, that's what it's all about. Shake it up, whoa, whoa, put it on, check it out.
When you're in a place where the beat goes on, you don't want to fill up. So reach for the silver bullet, the one that won't slow you down.
We're talking about cool, like it's the right beer now. Shake it up, check it out.
The Bruins do not look like they're going to be in any trouble here at all. There's 4 men back. That's perfect. But watch when the puck is dumped in. Corson will be the first player in deep to get the puck. It goes off of Moog into the corner. There's Corson. He beat everybody to that puck. And from that point, they went on the advance. Beers played the puck in front. Richet's not played till it's too late. And Montreal has scored to tie it up. A good dump in. And Moog did the right thing. He put the puck in the corner, but nobody slowed down Corson.
31 goals in the regular season. That led Montreal. Coming from the stick of Richet, his 6th here in the playoffs. Tying this game at 3-3. Bob Sweeney and Lazaro on the ice for the Bruins. Castle's taking the face-off. Wesley, a free shot just wide of the net.
The Jakes Montreal went with 2 centermen that time. Savard got removed, so Castles had to take it. His success rate hasn't been terrific.
No. Savard checked in the Boston end. Castles kept it in, but it went right to Weimer. Now to Bob Sweeney. Sweeney steps over center and shoots it in off the end boards. Out toward Desjardins, and then is knocked away. Recovered by Mike Keane. Randy Castles overskates it. Lazaro does likewise. Castles comes up with it. Gave it to Dufresne, and down the ice it goes. Andy Moog back in the net. Swept it away from Ray Bourque. He had Bob Sweeney open here on the right side, and the big winger comes through center with a pass to Hahn. Bruins change after dumping it in. Schneider picked up by Marquardt. Gets away from him. Matthew Schneider with that long reach. Nice move away from Janney, and then he gets thumped heavily. What a hit by Neely. A legal hit. Ray Bourque moves it around the boards. Here's Neely. And Neely is pass tipped by Carbonneau, goes right to Patrick Waugh, scoops it up, and holds it for a face-off. We have just over 7 minutes remaining in the third period. Game 2 of the Adams Division Final. It's tied 3-3.
Let's take off our sneakers and get comfortable.
Uh-oh, sneaker odor.
Let's go to the movies.
Tame ferocious sneaker odor with Sneaker Tamers from Odor Eaters. Springy insoles with activated charcoal, the world's most powerful odor destroyer. Sneaker Tamers has it. Scholl's doesn't. Sneaker Tamers absorb sweat, destroy sneaker odor, guaranteed for the life of your sneakers.
No more sneaker odor.
Sneaker Tamers from Odor Eaters.
In a wild one in Pittsburgh, the Penguins have tied it up. Randy Gillen, a journeyman, is able to bang home the rebound as he swoops in off the backhand. And this game is tied up at 6 in the third. Back to Jiggs and JD.
And here in Boston, Schneider has been throwing a lot of hits in the series. Here he's on the receiving end as Neely nailed him. And during the stoppage, McPhee had words with Cam Neely after that big hit.
Neely has stayed out on the ice. McPhee is out there as well. That long shot got through. Oh, it almost stuck by Waugh.
Jiggs, that's what I've been talking about with Patrick Waugh. He's had trouble controlling the puck after he's made saves. Another example of it. It was a great save and a smart one because that shot was taken through a screen as Boston totally controlled the draw once again. Now, look at the traffic already in front. There's Marquardt. He's standing there. You'll see the shot come through. And watch Patrick Waugh. He misses it. He's on his own. And he missed the puck originally and gathered it back.
43 shots by the Bruins. 34 by Montreal. 3-3 here is the Canadians. Up to center. Bourque bumped McPhee. And now Carbonneau has dumped it in. Andy Moog leaving it for Bourque. Over the net was Carbonneau. Don Sweeney with a pass up the left wing. Misses everybody, and Boston is going to be called for icing. In the game here on Wednesday night, the opening game, Boston outshot Montreal 25-19. Right now, the shots are 43-34. We said it would be different tonight, didn't we?
77 shots. I guess you have a very valid point there. I think both teams have taken shots as soon as they get into the offensive zone, trying to stay away from the fancy shots, just to dump the puck on goal.
welcome our Chicago audience. Sports Channel America bringing you the action from the Boston Garden, where the score is 3-3 with 6 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the third period. Boston led at one stage 2-0. Led again at 3-2. And a goal by Richer, tying it at the 11:30 mark of this period.
Jiggs, when Boston scored to make it 3-2, Schneider was playing right in the fence. And he hasn't played there much in the series. Since that point, he's played left defense only, as Montreal try to play stronger defensive play to back to tie it.
And Richer gets into the back of the net behind Moog. That'll bring about a whistle. A pass out of the corner. They couldn't get it to Richer in time to put the Canadians in front.
The two teams have not been strong on face-offs in their own zone in this series. Here's Montreal getting the puck to the front of the net. And you saw Christian ride Richer into the goal net. Richer scored the tying goal with some second effort, finding a loose puck by Andy Moog. But the teams in playoffs generally can go at about a 75% face-off rate at winning the draws in their own zone. It's been 50-50 in both zones, both teams' defensive zones in this series. So what happens is a lot of the players away from the two centermen have to concentrate very well, win or lose, on the draw.
Skrudland and Poulin here. Schneider to the left of Skrudland. Christian to the right of Poulin. The Canadians get to the puck. Corson put it in front. Ray Bourque picks it up over on the left side. Played it around Richer. On into the Montreal zone. Christian trying to dance in around Schneider. Gets to the puck here. But it's in Schneider's skates and kicked back to the net. Rico and Cote go to the corner board. Skrudland there as well. Christian trying to drag it around the boards. Bruin centered. Nobody there. Now the Canadians come to center, but a bad pass from Skrudland is picked off, and Don Sweeney gets checked as he tried to cross the line. Dave Christian lost it in Corson's skates. Now Poulin brings it into the Montreal zone. The feed for Skriko is off the heel of his stick. Petri, Skriko, and Cote shoulder to shoulder. Cote comes away with the puck. Around to Brian Skrudland. Pass it back for Cote. Cote with Poulin hounding him. The puck goes to Shane Corson. Then jumped over Richer's stick on that pass. Ray Bourque. A goal and an assist tonight. Bourque carrying the puck through center ice. Shoots it off the boards. It'll end up over on left wing where Marquardt comes in. The Bruins can't hold it at the line. And did get it in the lead a little deeper, but Savard clears it out. Weimer fires it off the board. A little more than 5 minutes to play in the third period. Here's Sweeney. Don Sweeney centers, and it's missed by Marquardt. Brought back 2-on-2. Montreal moving up. Gilchrist is up with Keane, and now they go back after forcing the Bruins in deep. And Glenn Wesley starts the play with a pass to Neely. He got checked. Carbonneau checked in turn. The Canadiens player McPhee was knocked off balance. Dufresne goes back to the puck. Donald Dufresne floating it down the boards into the Boston zone. Weimer checked by Carbonneau. Here's McPhee in front, and it's shot wide. What a nice setup for the Canadiens. And now the Boston goal again is loose, and play called with 4.5 minutes left in the third period. It's been a dandy, tied at 3-all.
For the first time in history, the compact pickup ranked most trouble-free was also ranked highest in truck customer satisfaction. Mazda, a truck so tough, we guarantee it long enough for a trip around the world. Twice. Oha! Mazda trucks, guaranteed tough.
It just feels right.
Just a moment ago here at Boston Garden, the Canadiens came oh so close to taking the lead in this game, J.D.
Well, this line for Montreal, Courtnall, McPhee, and Carbonneau starting to get it going. Started actually back in the second period. When the puck's dumped in, Montreal sending a couple of players in. McPhee was the third man. He cruised in late, but he couldn't get the clean shot.
Now as they get set for the face-off, it'll be Ken Hodge for the Bruins.
Courtnall at the top of the circle is waiting for the puck to be drawn back. Every once in a while, Carbonneau has tried to fool everybody and move ahead with the puck, even though Courtnall's waiting back there with a stick half up in the air ready for the shot if they draw it back. So that you're seeing some disguising type plays in the Boston zone.
Bruins are looking toward the bench for some instructions. Ron Hogarth says, let's get this thing going. Mike Milbury is still shouting instructions.
Well, they had to get Ruzicka on the boards, Mike, and Ruzicka doesn't understand English all that well, so it took some time.
Quick shot from the draw, just as set up. Courtnall. The Canadians hold it in. They fire one wide of the net, and Wesley moves it up toward Ruzicka, but not out. Desjardins with a shot. That's wide. The rebound. What a stop by Moog on Courtnall. That's the save of the game, and Moog is hurt. Dufresne goes back for a loose puck. The play call. Referee Ron Hogarth calling the Boston training staff out to attend to Andy Moog.
And check the heart rate right now on Reggie Lemelin, who may be forced into a very tough situation. Andy Moog with a sensational save, with his back to the play, put his right leg out, and when he made the save, he may have pulled a muscle, or at least what appears to be a leg injury. Courtnall had the open net. He tried to put the puck on goal quickly without a lot of velocity, and Moog made the great save. There's been a lot of traffic in front of Andy Moog as this game has developed, and when Moog gets up and moves back across, you'll see there'll be traffic in front. And then he'll move back to his right. Look at the traffic with Skrudland there. Moog moves across and watch his leg. There, what a great save. And he appears to be okay. He's showing signs there of having problems. Skrudland's in front. Look at Courtnall hustle to the puck. Moog only had one way to make the save, and it was desperate. And he appears to be okay. He's back up. The trainer is left, and he's ready to continue. Great save.
Might it have been a cramp, J.D.?
I don't think so, Jigs. It's a different position he found himself in, and perhaps strained something, but not serious enough to make himself leave the game. Only 4:14 left here in the third period, and we're seeing changes here, slow changes by both teams. This one a deliberate change by Montreal, and now Boston. You saw Mike Milbury look like he was getting upset. Hogarth is back at the bench, telling Savard and Keane to get back on the ice, as Pat Burns is trying everything to get the matchups he wants. Mike Milbury has the home last change. Once he makes the last change, Montreal cannot try a third one.
There's the score at Pittsburgh. The Penguins and the Caps are going to overtime. And we welcome those of you who have been watching that action at Pacific Arena in Pittsburgh. This is Boston Garden, where the score is half that, 3-3. And we have 4 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in regulation time. Welcome to Boston Garden. Diggs McDonald with John Davidson. Less than 4 minutes to play in the third period. 3-3 is the score. Mark Ward tied up with Carbonneau right in front of the Montreal bench. Bourque and Hodge got Boston into a 2-0 lead in the first period. Corson scored in the last minute of the second. And Courtnall, before the 5-minute mark of the third period, 2-2 tie. Christian gave Boston the lead, and then Richer tied it. 8.5 minutes to go in regulation.
Montreal has done a lot of changing on the fly, but this is one matchup they want. McPhee against Neely. Carbonneau on Janney. And Mike Milbury allows his players to stay out there because they're his best players.
And Evan Marquardt has the assignment on left wing with this combination. And Marquardt with the puck here, dumps it in deep. Neely trying to go in around McPhee. Gave Schneider a lot of time to handle it. He gets bumped. But maintained control long enough to feed McPhee. Now to Carbonneau on right wing. Has to go in deep. Cutters it out in front. Nothing doing there. Cam Neely can't clear the zone. It stays in the zone for McPhee. Carbonneau. Losing up the slot was Courtnall. They couldn't get it to him. He's got it now, then lost it. Neely is checked. Here's Guy Carbonneau. Neely knocks him off the puck. Now it comes back to the point. Schneider with a backhand shot. Blocked at the Boston defense, and Neely frees it up for Janney. Janney cuts through center across the Montreal line. Janney can't get a good shot away, and when he did, it hit Desjardins. This is Guy Carbonneau. The outlet is behind Corson at center ice. Weimer turns it back toward the Montreal zone. Courtnall giving it to Skrudland. Out of Desjardins, poked away by Poulin, but he can't recover.
Jigs, Montreal had too many men on the ice by quite a margin. But the linesman, seeing a 3-3 game here late, decided to be liberal on the play and allow it to continue.
Weimer brings the Bruins to center and tries a long shot that's wide. Bounces to Poulin. Puts it in the corner. Skrudland is there. Ryan Skrudland had it knocked away by Striko. Also pitching in is Poulin. Now Keene is able to shoot it down into the Boston zone. This will bring about a whistle for icing. And we have exactly 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the third period at Boston. A lot of ice time for Jim Weimer tonight. The Bruins, without Gary Galley, have Bob Beers in the lineup. Beers hasn't seen a great deal of ice time. Weimer has been given the extra load, it appears.
Skrudland has become the #1 defensive center for draws in the Montreal zone. 2:11 remaining here in the third period. Montreal's young defense has played well here in the Boston Garden, an arena that at times is very difficult to play well. Ray Bourque is on the ice for every second shift now for Boston.
He's on the right, Wesley on the left. Poulin with Christian and Strico. The puck goes to Wesley. Throws it off the boards, then shoots one, and Poulin tipped it, but wide. Dave Poulin was ready to celebrate. Skrudland ties him up back in the net. Look at the job by Poulin as he managed to get it in front, but it's brought back by Cote. Strico right on him, forcing Cote to dump it in. Raymond Bourque back in the net, being hounded here by Keene. Now Wesley picks up the puck, fed it up the boards. Christian can't get to it, neither can Poulin. And a hard hit on Dufresne as he dumped it into the Boston zone. It's cleared out now. Strico couldn't trap it. Desjardins pushed off the puck. What a play by Poulin.
Two big hits by Poulin here in the same shift. One on each defenseman. Dufresne the first one and Desjardins the second one. And Jiggs, I can't believe how many times for defensive faceoffs the offensive team is winning the things.
Carbonneau shooting it in here. I don't have a tally on it, but it has been a wide margin, all right. Lazaro trying to move it around Carbonneau, but it stays in the Boston end. 65 seconds left in regulation time, and the Bruins trying to clear it, have it go over the boards and on into the seats.
Dave Poulin with a leadership role late in the third with some good body work. Jiggs on faceoffs, when you lose draws, here we have Poulin opposite Skrudland. Poulin wins the draw, and then he drives to the net. If you lose the draw, your job is to stay with the other team's centerman. Skrudland does, and then he releases him, thinking the defenseman's got him. Poulin waves, does direct the puck, or deflect the puck, but it doesn't go in. Poulin with a good job. A couple of good hits. That was on Dufresne. He then moves across, sees the other defenseman, and here's another powerful hit.
Hello.
It's not a bad shift. Winning a draw, nearly scoring, a couple of solid hits. Not bad late in the game.
Davey Poulin, 32 years of age now. Missed a lot of games this season with assorted injuries. Hodge will take this face-off against Carbonneau. Neely is out on the ice, so is Lazaro. Bourque. One side of the Boston defense is trying to clear it out. It stays in the zone, but recovered by Neely. And Ray Bourque checks his options, banks it off the glass through center ice. Canadians turn it right back into the Boston zone. Bourque around the far side. Lazaro was checked. Don Sweeney checked by Carbonneau. It came out and off the stick of Bourque. Neely loses it back in the net. The Canadian center only to have it broken up, and Hodge got it to Neely. Out to Lazaro. That's Lazaro's shot. Blocking glove save by Patrick Waugh. Hodge chopping at it. The Canadians trying to recontrol. Come on. Hodge drops it back in the net with 20 seconds to go. Canadians try the right side, and Courtnall is able to clear it out. Raymond Bourque back for Boston. Bourque being watched by Guy Carbonneau has given the puck to Strico. He flips it into the Montreal end. We're 6 seconds away from overtime in game 2 in this series. Here's Guy Carbonneau. Can't get around Bourque. There's the siren. And it ends 3-3. So overtime faces us here in Boston, just as it does the Penguins and the Caps in Pittsburgh.
Some of the best players have played well in this game. The best players for Montreal include Courtnall and Carbonneau and McPhee. They've all played well. And Ray Bourque, a very special game for Boston. He's logged a lot of ice time. You'll see a lot more as we move to overtime.
With the score tied 3-3, we pause now for a regional break. You're watching Sports Channel America's exclusive Stanley Cup coverage.
We went to the fight capital of the world and asked the fans, who's the greatest heavyweight ever?
By far, it's Muhammad Ali.
Ripping punches. Muhammad Ali. The challenger goes down again.
Muhammad Ali.
Who's the heavyweight champion of the world?
Sports Illustrated presents Muhammad Ali, the video. See his pro debut, his fights with Liston, Foreman, Frazier, Spinks, and more. And the video is free with your paid subscription to SI.
Get it and find out who the greatest of all time is.
A short, choosing right to the jaw. Liston goes down.
The man, he jabbed, body danced.
He float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Keep the camera moving because I'm kind of fast.
A sharp right and only goes down.
It brought back memories, things I'd seen and hadn't seen. All the fights, all the interviews. Muhammad Ali, he took them all on.
God's former Joe Frazier.
Naming the round and all that. People thought that was a fluke.
He wanted to go to heaven, so I took him himself.
You don't see boxers like that anymore.
And George Foreman goes down. Foreman goes down like a tree struck by lightning.
And the Muhammad Ali video is free.
That video's free?
Can't be. How can it be free?
It's free when you subscribe to Sports Illustrated. Save over 50% off the cover price.
Oh, I go for it in a heartbeat. It's something to look into.
You'll get 23 issues, including the baseball preview and the swimsuit issue for 3 monthly installments of only $9.89. Or you can pay by credit card, so call now.
One of the greatest magazines that's been around this country since day one.
Kind of like Muhammad Ali, it gives you everything.
Come on, girl. We in Manila.
Lived great memories of the greatest champion ever.
To view the legend in the tape was fantastic.
People who never had seen Ali would love this tape.
Yes, I recommend it for anybody.
You can't walk away from this tape without being a Muhammad Ali fan.
I am the king of the world. Hold it. You're not that pretty. I'm a bad man.
Call our toll-free number now and get knockout savings on Sports Illustrated and get the Muhammad Ali video free.
I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
Welcome back to the Boston Garden. 3-3 over 60 minutes of play between the Canadians and the Boston Bruins. Boston got off to a 2-0 lead in the first period. Ray Bourque got his third of the playoffs at the 4:35 mark. Poulin and Christian assisted, and then Hodge made it 2-0, deflecting Bourque's hard shot, and the Boston Bruins appeared to be comfortable. They held that lead until the last minute of the second period. Shane Corson scored his fifth of the playoffs on a feed from Desjardins. And then into the third period, no penalties called. Montreal is to tie it at 4:24, and a goal by Courtnall, his sixth, on an assist from McPhee. And then Boston regains the lead on a goal by Christian, and Richer ties it up at the 11:30 mark. It stays 3-3 over the balance of the period. Shots on goal. Boston outshot Montreal in the first period, outshot them again in the second. Montreal by 1 in the third period, and the totals, 80 shots on goal. 44-36 are the totals. It's been a little more wide open, but really Montreal jacked up the tempo of the game. They had a tie 2-2, and then all of a sudden Dave Christian scores on a long shot, beating Patrick Roy. The puck has moved around, John.
Twice Montreal had the chance of getting the puck out of the zone. That last time was by Schneider. Great pinch there by Wesley to keep it alive. The slap shot by Christian. That was the last shift that Schneider played right the fence. He went left the fence the rest of the game.
And then Montreal comes back. This is the goal by Stéphane Richer.
All three forwards for Montreal drive to the net. Richer digs it out, uses a stick to put it over the goal line as he's about to be hit by Sweeney. That was the last goal in this game. There were 6 of them. We've had 80 shots. Jig's only 8 minors. No fighting majors in the series so far. This game has been a pretty good one.
I think of that save that Andy Moog made with his back to the puck when he got caught.
He was in a very difficult position with his back to the play, and Russ Courtnall had a shot. He just put it on net. Andy Moog put his right leg out backwards to make the save. You really look back and you see the game, the goal you talked about late in the second period helped to get Montreal back into it. But I think the play of Corson and Courtnall got the Montreal club rolling, and then the rest of the players, the better players, started to pick it up. And as you mentioned, the pace started to jack right up. And because of that, we saw a lot more offensive opportunities at both ends.
The Bruins think that they're a better team, a faster team than they were last year. And really it was speed, the speed of the Edmonton Oilers that beat them in the Stanley Cup final. But they didn't seem to match speed for speed that well with Montreal that third period.
Not in the third period, you're right. And they believe this year they're a deeper team. Neely and Janney haven't been a big story in this game scoring-wise, but Christian has scored. Some of the players that aren't the number one marquee players have been doing some of the scoring for Boston. But if you look at the first half of the game, it was mostly Bruins. The second half of the game, Montreal really got back into it.
So it's 3-3 at the end of regulation. This game between the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens. The team's resting as we get ready for overtime on a Friday night in Boston. You're watching Stanley Cup Hockey on Sports Channel America.
In 1918, a small team of GE engineers set a new high-altitude record for an aircraft engine. What made it unusual was that they did it without an airplane. Back then, no plane could fly high enough to test a new turbo-supercharged engine. So they did the next best thing. They halted 14,000 feet up Pikes Peak. After several fits and starts, this remarkable new engine roared to life. And it is the same ingenuity and team spirit that has brought GE from America's first jet engine to the world's most advanced.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you look out the left side of the cabin, you'll see Pikes Peak.
Which proves when people work together, there's no telling to what heights they can soar.
NBA action explodes in Hoop Magazine. Your best ticket to NBA action all season long. Because Hoop delivers all the earth-shaking, high-flying, bone-jarring slams of the NBA. Full-color action photos, inside stories, and revealing interviews. Hoop is the only official NBA magazine. Pick it up at your local newsstand or NBA arena. Hoop, your season ticket to explosive NBA action. From PSP, America's leading sports publisher.
Here are the first round winners and the fans' choice for MVP. In the Campbell Conference, rock-solid defense and a tough work ethic make Detroit's Brad McCrimmon the top vote getter with 22% of the vote. Brad barely beat out Wayne Gretzky of the Kings, who had 21%. In the Wales Conference, perennial all-star Ray Bourque of the Boston Bruins garnered 20% of the vote to finish ahead of Washington goaltender Don Beaupre. Don't forget to vote for your MVP in the second round. Call 1-900-896-2333. You must know your MVP's team and jersey number.
We have overtime everywhere. Boston and Montreal tied at 3 at the end of regulation. And how about Pittsburgh and Washington? A wild one. Let's take a look at the highlights at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Third period, Penguins lead at 5-3. Not until Dino Ciccarelli will get a goal right here. That makes it 5-4 Penguins. Moments later, Ciccarelli will do it again. Yes, Ciccarelli, another great individual effort, backhands it home. 5-all is the score. Moments later, Calle Johansson will show a little muscle here. Nice move by the defenseman, backs it in. 6-5 Capitals in front. But Pittsburgh will answer right back. Randy Gillen, the journeyman, finds the loose puck, backhands it past Mike Liut, 6-all, and that's where they stand as the teams head into overtime. And we will take you out to Pittsburgh right now for overtime. Here is Rick Peckham and Jerry Cheevers.
Tonight it was a 5-3 Penguin lead going into the third when he took over for Don Beaupre, and he made some big stops to help the Capitals get into this extra period. We welcome the audience that has been watching, the Canadians and the Bruins, as they too are heading for overtime. Rod Langway's pass stolen by Larry Murphy as we're underway. Al Iafrate back for. Chased by Mario Lemieux. Barbieri keeps it in for Lemieux. Dropping it back for Airy. Hands it now to stand in front. Recchi with a shot just wide. As Miller brings it out for the Capitals. He'll dump it in. Pietrangelo out to handle it. And the pass deflected off the Capital. It hit Berglund, bounced in front. But it's Recchi who gives it to Lemieux. Dropping it, Recchi shoots. A save by Liut. And he one-hands the puck away from the on-charging area. He wants to come off at a change.
Not only a great save by Mike Liut, but a great play to put the puck forward and lead his team up the ice.
Coffey. Sends it in behind the net. Ron Francis over for it. Fires in front. Stevens just got his stick on it. Couldn't get it on the net. Kevin Stevens has it. Sends it wide of Mike Liut. Standard fires. Tipped by Francis. Cleared away by Liut. It's Joey Mullen on the turnaround. Shooting. It's deflected by Johansson over the glass and into the seats.
Well, we mentioned Mario Lemieux. Mike Recchi had a great chance at the start of this overtime. Joey Mullen. Let's mention a few guys on the other side. Dale Hunter, 4 overtime goals in his career. Dino Ciccarelli, 3, I should say Stanley Cup overtime goals. Here's a chance for Joey Mullen. And this is deflected into the stands, so the faceoff will be in the Capital zone. I think about the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're a fun team to watch. They're not going to sit back and play conservative and wait for a break. They're going to go for it.
Francis out for this face-off against Hunter. And here's a chance for Recchi right in front, just misfiring, and he doesn't do that often. Certainly hasn't tonight. He's got a couple of power play goals.
That was with his new aluminum stick.
We welcome the Hockey Night in Canada audience to the Civic Arena here in Pittsburgh. Rick Peckham and Jerry Cheevers with you. We've played 1 minute 16 seconds of overtime, tied up at 6. And the Capitals control the face-off after the Penguins had a couple of good scoring chances in the early going here of overtime. They want to keep the pressure going. Stevens' pass taken away by Johansson. Leads it ahead for Ciccarelli. Ciccarelli sends it off the glass around to Dave Tippett. Stevens backhands it to Mullet. Francis gives it now to Stevens. Cuts in on Johansson. Stevens backhands it on goal to save Baliut. Rebound left there for the taking. Hunter finally gets his stick on it. Francis controls it. Try to neat between the legs away from the net centering attempt, but the Caps spoil that. Ciccarelli. Big drive from center. It's off the skate of Roberts, controlled by Pietrangelo. Capitals go for a change. The pass skips off Stevens' stick. Yager will chase down the puck along with Al Iafrate, who got there first, and it's icing against Pittsburgh.
Watching Liut make that big save at the start of overtime, you know, I think of a great move that David Poile made in getting Mike Liut when Don Beaupre was questionable at the start of this season. It's nice to have a veteran goaltender like Mike Liut put into this position. It'll be his game to win or lose. Yager, who scored a winning goal in Series 1 against the New Jersey Devils for the Penguins, should see plenty of ice time as he has that breakaway ability. But Liut, good to have a guy like him. If you have to replace your #1 goalie, it's a pretty big edge when you do it with a guy like Liut.
Boy, did he come up with a great stop on Yager in the third period as Yager danced around Al Iafrate in alone on the Capitals goaltender. Murphy gets to that puck, checked by Druce. Murphy moves it along to Troy Loney. Liut out to play that bouncing puck. Controls it for Langway. Long pass ahead for Leach. Leach lets it go, saved by Pietrangelo. He gloves it, and he'll settle for a stoppage in play as we played 2.5.
I'm sure the Capitals talked about this at the intermission between regulation time and overtime. Is their first 3 shots in this overtime have been from a long way out. One of the notes on Pietrangelo is, Rick, one of the scouting reports is that he really can't handle bad goals. He has a tough time recovering from bad goals, and I'm sure he's thinking of the last 2 goals, Ciccarelli and Johansson, and really rattles him somewhat. And I'm sure they talked about that in the intermission and seem to be happy to shoot anywhere near the blue line area. One thing that's favoring Washington right now is they're having more face-offs in the Pittsburgh end than in their end.
Francis and Ridley on this face-off. We'd like to welcome the audience from Sports Channel Ohio to the action here in Pittsburgh. 6-6, we're in overtime. The Penguins and the Washington Capitals. The Penguins trying to even this series at 1 game apiece. The Caps took the opener in this building 4-2 on Wednesday. Johansson's shot is blocked, and out comes Bob Airey. It's been a wild one here, and the action has intensified as the game's gone along. Airey with a pass to Mark Recchi. Gonna pop it in front. It's blocked by Johansson. Hatcher keeps it moving to Berglund, and the Capitals bring it out with a 3-man rush. Berglund, though, lost the puck, and it's played back in by Lemieux. Johansson shovels it.
Overtime is about to start in Boston. We will keep you posted on the Penguins and Capitals, but now we take you to the Boston Garden. Here's Jigs McDonald and John Davidson.
Thanks, Bob. The team's lined up. Boston will start the overtime with the Dave Poulin line. Strico and Lazaro with them, and now they're going to make a change. Poulin goes back to the bench. The home team with the right to make the last change, and that's going to be exercised by Coach Mike Milbury as Hodge will move into center ice. Bob Sweeney on the right side. Lazaro does stay out on the left as Montreal counters with Strudlin, Richer, and Corson. On the dots, the Canadians handling it. Schneider just did get it over Bob Sweeney's stick. Struggling to control it was Corson, and he's over the line. Upped it into the corner. Don Sweeney taken to the boards by Corson. Raymond Bourque plays it around to the right side. Cote pitches in. He's met solidly by Lazaro. Strudlin checked by Hodge. The puck loose. Strudlin with it again. Brian Strudlin puts it back in the net. They center. Corson with a shot. They score! Richer! 27 seconds into overtime.
Mike Milbury got the matchup he wanted to start the overtime, but the Montreal club worked the puck deep in the Boston zone. They worked the boards, and finally Richer, who came in late, was able to score. You'll see the boards here. You see the Montreal club. 3 players were along the boards. Now they continue to work the boards, finally get it in front, and you'll see Richer, who's left alone as Ray Bourque turned away, get the rebound and score. And Montreal needed 1 win here in Boston. With the 2 games, they got it. Watch Bourque move right here to Richer. He turns away. Richer comes right back into the play, and Andy Moe can't stretch out as Richer scores.
Richer celebrates, as does the entire Montreal bench. We watch their reaction as they stand, sensing that something's going to happen, and there it is. For the first time tonight, Pat Burns with a big smile on his face, and this series is even at a game each. Let's check in with Bob Papa.
All right, Stéphane Richer forces the overtime, then wins it in overtime. That's the 6th time a team that forces overtime has won it. Now to overtime we go to Pittsburgh. Here's Rick Peckham and Jerry Cheevers.
We welcome again the Sports Channel audience that has been watching the Canadiens and the Bruins as the Canadiens prevail to tie up that series 1 game apiece. It's still 6-6 here with 16:20 remaining in the first overtime. Mike Liut has been the star of the show so far in the extra period. Just great stops on Mario Lemieux. Paul Coffey all alone in front of the Capital net a few moments ago. With the puck, it's Hunter. Backhand to the goal mouth. Puck's loose, and it's finally grabbed by Murphy. Out he comes. 3 Capitals back. Murphy dumps it in. He wants to get to the bench, but not before he was belted by Langland. Caps methodically move it out to Cicerelli. He'll flip it toward the corner, and Paul Stanton is back. 23-year-old rookie chased by another first-year NHLer, Dmitry Kristich. Stevens pushes it by Mullen's stick. Liut out for it. Stevens gets there. Checked by Michael Pavonka, who steps away with a puck in tow. Gives it now to Johansson. On the right, delete, shooting, and he sends it wide of Pietrangelo, and it's caromed all the way out to Stevens. Rink wide to Coffey, races in from the angle, fires a save by Liut off his blocker. It drops in the corner, picked up by Leach. Out ahead for Pavonka. Michael Pavonka cuts in. Down he goes off the check from Murphy. Bruce gave it up to Stevens. Out ahead for Lemieux. We're 5 minutes into overtime as the Caps will hem in the Penguins a bit more. Pietrangelo directs a little traffic now as both teams take the opportunity for a line change. Lemieux with a pass off Iafrady's stick, and it deflects out of play. 6-6, we're tied at overtime here. Let's join Bob Papa back at our New York studios.
All right, Rick. Stéphane Richer forced overtime for the Montreal Canadiens, and then Richer gets the game winner. Corson with the shot. Richer bangs it home, his 7th goal of the playoffs, 27 seconds in, and this series is tied at 1.
You're looking at Mario Lemieux, who minutes earlier could have ended this game, but he was robbed by Mike Liut.
Penguins had 3 2-goal leads in the second period. Ultimately, the Caps erased all of them to tie it at 5, lead at 6-5 in the third period as Lemieux got tangled up there with Iafrady, and we get the stoppage, and Lemieux gets up a little slowly. The Capitals led 6-5 in the third. Randy Gillen owns the tying goal in this hockey game for Pittsburgh.
Mario Lemieux a little upset with himself. Let's go back to these saves by Mike Liut. Watch the move to the backhand, but Liut with the good right leg. He is, what do we used to call him, Rick? He has those happy feet. He can move the legs as good as anyone in the game, and he had to there to rob Mario Lemieux. Watch his right leg. He's going to move it quickly and get it over there.
His legs were very happy with those two stops. Mark Recchi has the puck. Trying to get it in front to Phil Bourque. Taken away by Miller. Miller cuts in, drops it back to Ridley. Quick shot. It's gloved by Pietrangelo, and he'll hang on. A long way back, Jerry. You made a good point about key stops by this man to give the Penguins a chance to get into their game.
He was very sharp earlier. Here's the tandem of Miller and Ridley once again. Miller with the drop pass. This resulted in an earlier goal, I believe, the goal by Ridley, but I should say that type of play. The difference in the goaltenders right now, when Liut has the puck around his net, he wants to keep moving it so his team has a chance to come out. Pietrangelo, a little unsure of himself, is freezing the puck too much, I think. He's forcing too many face-offs in his zone. The experience of Liut versus the inexperience of Frank Pietrangelo.
We get off to a big start as the Capitals outshot the Penguins 11-2 at a 1-0 lead in the first 13 minutes. So the Penguins got a hold of the puck at a bad clearing attempt by the Caps, tied the score, and they were on their way. Led 3-1, 4-2, and 5-3 until Cicerelli started the comeback, with Liut taking over in goal for Beaupre in the third period. Liut with key stops down the stretch in regulation. And some big stops, just enormous saves to keep the Caps going here in overtime as Cicerelli dumps it in. Hunter grabs it. Dale Hunter to Hatcher shooting, and he fires it wide. Out to Johansson with a Cap bench up and watching. It's chipped toward the net, played in behind. And Hunter had it knocked loose by Brian Trottier. Plays it to Yager, couldn't get it by Johansson. Backhands it in behind Pietrangelo, and it's grabbed now by Roberts. Pass ahead to Trottier, trying to lead it in for Yager behind the defense, held up by Hatcher. Jaromir Yager to Stanton, lets the shot go, and it's high over Liut. Trottier puts it in behind to Yager. He's checked there by Langway. Loney shoved to the boards by Kristich. Langway involved along with Yager, who comes up with a puck. Pinned by Langway. Kristich without his helmet, still involved in the play, trying to clear, couldn't get it by Francis, and it's Stanton who walks and shoots. Saved by Liut. Loney might have tipped that shot. Loose puck off the skates of referee Terry Gregson. Francis locates it. Finally, Hatcher controls it, and he leads the rush out. Hatcher to Pavonka, and the play is whistled down for the offside. 12:41 remaining here in overtime, our first overtime period.
This last play where Liut made the save, we'll see if it's tipped by Loney. This took a little time to develop. Yes, it is tipped by Loney, as Stanton failed to recognize that Loney was all alone in front of Liut. That gave Liut a time to get over there and make the save on the deflection. I'll take it once again, Rick, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but coming into this situation, the Capitals are very fortunate to have a Mike Liut. You know, if it happened to the Penguins right now with Barrasso on the shelf and their backup goaltender has not seen a minute of action at the NHL level, that's Racine. It's a nice little luxury to have as the second goaltender, being a proven veteran like Liut.
Penguins have had 7 shots here in overtime, 4 for the Capitals. Paul Coffey gives the puck to Stanton, chips it out. Lawler from the red line dumps it right back in. Pietrangelo holds it up, and Stanton sends it off the boards out to center. And the Caps want to just dump it right back in and get their forechecking going. Stanton moves it out for Stevens, across to Coffey. Coffey swerves in, quick shot pass save by Liut, and it's played off the boards and out. Murphy sweeps it by Coffey. Iafrate, one of the big stars of Game 1, as the Capitals won 4-2 here on Wednesday. Starts it in, and it poked off a stick by Murphy. Mullen bounces it ahead to Ron Francis. He's joined by Stevens. Francis finds him, he shoots, he scores! At of the first overtime. Kevin Stevens has won game 2 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, 7-6.
Mike Liut was not going to stop this one. As this play developed, I did not think Ron Francis saw Kevin Stevens coming down the middle of the ice, but once he did, he made a beautiful pass to Kevin Stevens to finish this game with the 11:50 left in the first overtime. But a beautiful pass by Francis, and the Penguins a very happy bunch. They know they're going to a building they play very good in. Tied at 1. There's the duo right there. Francis on your left, Kevin Stevens. Kevin Artie Stevens with the winner. No chance for Mike Liut on this beautifully executed goal. Let's watch it as I afraid he will try the rush at the Penguin end. He'll get caught, and this will set up the odd man advantage for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Francis with some good work with the skates. Well, notice finally, right there, you saw the little look, the fake shot. Beautiful pass right on the stick of Stevens, off the right post, left post, into the net for the winner. And in all fairness, the Penguins with the better scoring opportunities in the overtime. They went for it. Here's Francis with the fake. The great little pass on the stick of Stevens. Oh, this one in the middle of the net. I originally thought this one off the right post. That's so fast it happened. Kevin Stevens with his second goal tonight and 5th of the playoff series. And in what was, Rick, a highly entertaining game. You can't beat this action.
Stevens from Francis and Mullen at 8:10 of overtime. The difference in the hockey game as the Penguins outshot the Capitals 9-4 in overtime. The Penguins won game 2 of their series with the Devils to even that at 1. They won that in overtime, and they had to go to overtime to get a victory in this series. They're now on even ground, 1 game apiece, and we'll return here to the Civic Arena to recap the action in a moment.
A company can learn a lot in 125 years. Valvoline has. You learn in the lab, you learn on the road, you learn on the racetrack. As you learn, you make your product better, and better, and better. Today's Valvoline will keep your engine cleaner than ever before, and cleaner means more protection against engine wear. 125 years of quality. That's why people who know use Valvoline.
When it's heartburn,
plus gas.
Get new Tom's Plus. Calcium-rich antacid relief plus gas-busting simethicone.
No other antacid gives you that.
New Tom's Plus.
Old Spice, Sports Channel America, and The National present the Fans' Choice for MVP. To vote, dial 1-900-896-2333. Know your MVP's team and jersey number. The winners will be featured on Sports Channel America. Call 1-900-896-2333.
This is where it happened. The breakthrough in urethane chemistry that created a car polish so technologically advanced, one application lasts an entire year. Introducing Finish 2001, the car polish you use only once every 12 months. This old car's been badly neglected. Its finish appears destroyed. With no rubbing, no buffing, Finish 2001 with its urethane formula safely brings back the showroom shine, a rich, deep gloss shine that lasts an entire year. We tested Finish 2001 against other leading polishes, even some that claim to protect your car against fire or against acid. And the test results? Nothing, but nothing protects or shines better than Finish 2001, the 12-month car polish with a 100% money-back guarantee.
Finish 2001 is available at these fine stores.
10 playoff games have been decided in overtime, and tonight it's the Montreal Canadiens defeating the Boston Bruins 4-3 on an overtime goal 27 seconds into the extra period. Stéphane Richer will get the goal. Corson and Skrudland draw the assists, and there it is.
Great board work by Corson and Skrudland to keep the play alive. You see there, Skrudland finds Richer. Corson's involved, and Richer's left alone just long enough to jam it in past Andy Moog. Richer was behind the goal line when he scored. Sense the anticipation on the bench, and there it is. Montreal has tied this series up with a big victory on the road here in Boston.
4-3, the final score, as the Canadiens
Even the series, as J.D. said, Russ Courtnall had a big goal in this game. It tied the game at that point 2-2, and he is with us. Russ, this has to feel just tremendous for the Canadians.
Oh yeah, it's a huge win for us, and you know, the last few games against Boston we struggled, and they were really taking advantage of us with the wins, and we came out with a huge game tonight, and a big effort from everybody, and came out with a big win.
Russ, your team was trailing 2-0, and then at 19:31 of the second period, Corson scored to put your team on the scoreboard. During the intermission, what effect did that have on your team?
Well, we went out trying to win the period, and that's exactly what we did. We went out and we worked hard. I think we changed our game a little. We started dumping the puck in, and we were really forcing their defensemen and getting chances and going to the net. We talked earlier about that tonight, about going to the net, and that's what we started to do. And if you look at all four of our goals are all rebounds and what in hockey terms garbage goals.
We talked up here about the fact that you seem to be skating better tonight. You feeling better? The leg better now, Russ?
Yeah, I haven't practiced in about 7 or 8 days. I've just been playing the games, and so that's really helped. The time off has really helped, and tomorrow will be a sore day, but I'll be ready again, and that's basically how I've been going. It's been the games I've been feeling good, and then the next day therapy, and then I'm ready for the game again.
Russ, thanks for the visit. Russ Courtnall had a note. In the last 3 years, Game 2 of this series has gone to overtime, and it happened again tonight. Montreal beating Boston 4-3 in the extra period.
When sports scream, when arms are sore, when legs ache, when muscles hurt. Why Sports Cream? Massaging Sports Cream In brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why Sports Cream? Because it works. Over 28 million adults get athlete's foot.
I'm Jim Bird. I had athlete's foot until I used NP27. It has an ingredient recommended by doctors.
Look, NP27 stops the burning, itching of athlete's foot fast.
NP27. Nothing's a better cure for athlete's foot.
I couldn't raise the money to save the orphanage. I guess I'm a failure.
I've invested in their future.
All you needed was some faith and friends.
In the movies, happy endings are easy, but in the real world, they take solid planning. So for peace of mind, investment advice are the home of your dreams. Come to the companies of the Prudential and build your future on the rock.
In 1918, a small team of GE engineers set a new high-altitude record for an aircraft engine. What made it unusual was that they did it without an airplane. Back then, no plane could fly high enough to test a new turbo-supercharged engine. So they did the next best thing. They halted 14,000 feet up Pikes Peak. After several fits and starts, this remarkable new engine roared to life. The same ingenuity and team spirit that has brought GE from America's first jet engine to the world's most advanced.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you look out the left side of the cabin, you'll see Pikes Peak.
Which proves when people work together, there's no telling to what heights they can soar.
This is the overtime winning goal. Cote is on the puck. He's a defenseman who pinches. Watch Richer move over here to give him an opening, and then watch Corson come down, and he'll get along the boards. And we mentioned board work. Count the times Montreal controls the puck. There's once. There's twice. There's 3 times. There's 4 times. Here's the 5th time they've touched it. The 6th, there'll be 2 more. 7th, and then the 8th. You talk about getting into good position. You talk about working the boards. They did it all early in overtime to win.
And the final score, 27 seconds into overtime, Montreal wins it. Now tomorrow night, more playoff action. The Norris division begins at 8:30 Eastern Time. Minnesota at St. Louis with the North Stars leading 1-0. Then that will be followed by the Smythe division final. The Edmonton Oilers at Los Angeles, where the Kings lead 1-0. We'll be back with you Sunday night when this series resumes at Montreal. The series tied at a game each. Make note of the starting time, 7 o'clock Eastern on Sunday night. And some of you will see the game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals to try and decide the Patrick Division title. That series also now even at a game each. And again, the goal by Stéphane Richer has given the Montreal Canadiens a 4-3 win. The bench reacts, and for the first time in about 3 hours, Pat Burns had a smile on his face as the series goes back to Montreal, even at a game each. 4-3, the final score. For John Davidson, I'm Jakes McDonald saying so long from the Boston Garden.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Nightly. I'm Leandra Riley. The Battle of the Ages is tonight in Atlantic City. NFL draft dealings have the first selection overall belonging to the Dallas Cowboys. And unbeaten Roger Clemens tries his skill against Fay Vincent. But we begin with boxing. The heavyweight championship fight between Evander Holyfield and George Foreman is just moments away. The 42-year-old challenger preacher with the burger punchlines against the chiseled 28-year-old heavyweight champion. A fight that will make everybody involved rich beyond their wildest dreams. A fight that has captured the imaginations of anyone within earshot of Foreman's funny lines. Hey, Duke beat UNLV last month. Tonight, some experts are actually predicting Foreman will win it. But most just give him a puncher's chance. On the undercard, though, we do have some results. Jorge Paez defeated Lupe Suarez. It was a TKO in the 4th round, and that was a featherweight battle scheduled to go 10 rounds. And in the other undercard battle, Tommy Morrison, a 5th round TKO over Yuri Volin. Tommy Morrison, if the name sounds familiar, played the role of Tommy Gunn in Rocky V. All right, now we will keep you posted on the fight, and as soon as the fighters step into the ring, we'll let you know. Right now, let's get to news concerning the upcoming NFL draft. This afternoon, the Dallas Cowboys made a trade with the New England Patriots that gives Dallas the first selection overall in Monday's college draft. The Cowboys gave up their first-round selection, which was 11th overall. Plus, the Cowboys gave up their second-round pick, which is 41st overall. But the big payoff in this is a third giveaway. And this is vaguely titled Other Considerations that could mean players or future draft picks. Now, in return, Dallas will have first shot at Notre Dame speedster Rocket Ismail. He is the first, is he worth $3 million? The Patriots aren't sure, so they gave him up.
Draft choices that haven't made it. And as I look you in the eye, I would not have felt good about this organization if we would have kept number 1, because I didn't feel that there was a good number 1 draft choice. And I also knew how hard we worked and the number of people who worked on this thing that we weren't going to sign it.
So if you're unsure, you punt. The Patriots were also busy wheeling and dealing with that other team from Texas, the Oilers. The Pats sent their 28th pick overall plus their 18th pick in the 4th round to Houston. In return, the Patriots get the Oilers' 1st round pick, which is 17th overall. So in summary, New England has the 11th and 17th picks this Monday. Boston Red Sox ace Roger Clemens met with Commissioner Fay Vincent to appeal his 5-game suspension. Clemens did not go alone, however, into that meeting. He brought a professional lip reader with him to interpret what he was saying to umpire Terry Cooney during the 4th game of last year's American League playoffs. Clemens was ejected from that game, and now 6 months later, the appeal process is finally being fulfilled. Fay Vincent met with Clemens for 5 hours. He said he hopes to make a decision by next week. Clemens is not scheduled to pitch again until Tuesday against Toronto. Today, his teammates got an unscheduled day off. The game between the Boston Red Sox and Cleveland Indians was postponed due to rain. Both Sox are spending this weekend in Cleveland. Hopefully, they'll have better weather tomorrow. The Toronto Blue Jays opened a 3-game series with the Milwaukee Brewers. Dave Stieb winless in 2 tries on the hill for Toronto. But things didn't start out too well for Stieb. In fact, the very first batter he faces, Paul Molitor, takes him into the left field seats. And it's 1-0 Milwaukee. Top of the 2nd, the Jays tie it. John Olerud takes Don August deep to center. Watch this one. It's out of here. It's a solo shot. And this ball game is all tied up at 1 run apiece. In the 4th, the Blue Jays take the lead. However, Rance Mulliniks hits one deep to the opposite field. It goes into the first row, and Blue Jays are up 2-1. Top of the 6th now, 2-1 Jays. Olerud goes deep again, this time with 1 man on board. A 2-run blast, 4-1 Toronto. That's enough for Stieb, who gets Gary Sheffield. Watch him here as he hits into the 1-4-3 double play. The Blue Jays win this ball game. Final score 5-2. Stieb gets the complete game and the win. He gave up 8 hits, while the Toronto Bats managed 3 homers on 11 hits. The New York Yankees beat the then unbeaten White Sox in their last outing. Tonight, the Yanks made it 2 in a row with a victory over the Kansas City Royals. Tim Leary overpowering tonight. 2 bona fide 300 hitters. Kevin Seitzer looks at strike 3. Then last year's batting champ, George Brett, goes down swinging. Leary had 10 strikeouts through 5 innings. Leary was touched, however, in the 2nd inning. Mike McFarlane drills one over the head of Mel Hall in left field. Danny Tartable comes around. Kansas City's up 1-0. Finally, some run support for Leary. Tied at 1 in the 6th, Jesse Barfield crushes a 2-run dinger to right center, his first dinger of the year. 3-1 Yanks. Royals get a scare in the 8th. Mark Davis barehands his bouncer by Mel Hall. Davis did have to leave the game. Ouch. Meanwhile, Tim Leary, well, he goes the distance. Danny Tartable, his 12th and final strikeout victim. The Yankees win this one. Final score, 3-1. The Royals took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees last week in Kansas City. Texas Rangers collided with the Baltimore Orioles tonight. Instead of getting their 3rd straight win, the Rangers saw a lot of birds crossing home plate. How many birds? Well, 5-0 is the final score there. Ironically, Robinson, the winning pitcher, was shelled by Texas on Sunday, 15-3. West Coast games, Oakland against Seattle, just underway, 2-0. Seattle leads in the 2nd inning. Minnesota against California. Twins opening a 3-game series against the Angels, no score in the 3rd. The Cubs and Mets and Cardinals when Sports Nightly continues, as we'll have National League scores and highlights when we come back. The Chicago Cubs have been living up to their preseason hype. April is such a great month for Cub fans. Well, tonight the Cubbies won for their 7th straight win as they continued the 4-game series with the Pirates, but it was not to be a happy night. In fact, bad news for Cub fans. Scoreless in the 3rd when on this pitch, Danny Jackson comes up lame. He leaves the game with a groin injury. His status is now unknown. Jackson's replacement, Mike Bilecki, the game did not remain scoreless for long. Same inning, Andy Van Slyke, it is gone. A 2-run shot to right, and the Pirates are on top 2-zip. Pirates starter Vicente Palacios, 1 hit in 6 2/3 innings of work, backed by some nice defense like this running grab by Barry Bonds off the bat of Doug DeCenzo. But in the 9th, Pirates were up 3-0 with 2 outs. Bases loaded for Andre Dawson. As a pinch hitter, he grand slams it, and the Cubs are up 4-3. Great news, right? Wrong. The Bucks rally in their half of the 9th inning. Bases loaded, tied at 4, 2 outs. Jeff King, not a grand slam, but the single's good enough for a 5-4 Pirates victory. Danny Jackson does not factor into the decision, but the winning pitcher is Stan Belinda, who is now 1-1. The last time the Mets played the Expos, Doc Gooden fanned 14 batters en route to his first complete game of the season. Well, tonight the Mets are in Montreal as they continue their 9-game road trip. Just like their meeting on Saturday, it's Doc Gooden against Dennis Martinez. Gooden was touched, however, early on. First inning after a leadoff triple by Delino DeShields. Ivan Calderon grounds to shortstop Hojo, who boots it. DeShields scores. Hojo injured his thumb on the play, later left the game. He's listed as day-to-day. Same inning, Tim Wallach goes the other way with a base hit to right field. Ivan Calderon hustles home, and the Expos are up 2-0. Dennis Martinez did not allow the Mets any margin for error. Here he picks up Greg Jeffries. Mets can't seem to catch a break. Martinez simply had the good stuff. He gets Magadan swinging at the heat. In the 9th, Tim Burke came in and received some defensive support. Andres Galarraga saved Delino DeShields an error by snagging his errant throw and tagging out Magadan. And so they call him a legato. Montreal could do nothing wrong tonight. Spike Owen makes the juggling catch off of Kevin Ulster's pop-up. And the Expos hang on to win. Final score is 2-1. Gooden with his first loss of the season. Martinez picks up his second win. After yesterday's rainout, the Phillies and Cardinals opened their 4-game series at Busch Stadium this evening. This is the home opener for St. Louis, and it's a happy day for Cardinal fans. 3-1 the final score. Tewksbury with his first win of the season. The Reds and Braves are at Fulton County Stadium. The defending world champions put Jack Armstrong on the hill as they try to climb above the 500 mark. We'll pick it up in the bottom of the first. Braves draw first blood as primetime Sanders takes Jack Armstrong downtown 1-0 Atlanta. Then in the bottom half of the second, Sid Bream gets into the act, drilling one deep to right. The Braves lead 2-0, but that does not hold up for long. In the top of the 4th inning, Tom Glavine loaded the bases and then promptly throws one away. Barry Larkin comes in to score to make it a 2-1 ball game, and this gets really ridiculous. After reloading the bases, Glavine walks Joe Oliver. So in comes Eric Davis, and the game is now tied at 2. So Marvin Freeman comes in to pitch for Atlanta, and the first batter he faces, he plunks. Chris Sabo goes to first. Maurino Duncan scores 3-2 Reds, and the next batter with the bases jammed is Bill Doran. He walks the Reds, getting 4 runs on no hits and a 4-2 lead. Now let's go to the top of the 7th. The Reds are leading 4-3, and the bases are filled up once again. Doug Sisk walks in another Cincinnati run. Bill Doran scores, making it 5-3. This is ugly. This one goes on to be an 8-3 final. Jack Armstrong picks up his win the easy way. Glavine gets tagged with the loss. Sanders, Bream, and Gant all with home runs. Bream's his second of the season. The Houston Astros are at Candlestick for the first of a 6-game road trip in the 3rd inning. Well, the San Francisco Giants all over Houston 3-0. The Astros took 2 of 3 from the Giants in Houston last week. Also on the West Coast tonight, the Los Angeles Dodgers and San Diego Padres continue their 4-game series. It's Mike Morgan against Ed Whitson. Right now the Dodgers are enjoying a 2-run lead in the bottom of the 4th. The NBA is just around the corner. The Pacers need to win just one of their last 2 games to clinch the 7th playoff position. And the Pacers are at home against the Knicks. More scores and highlights, and Sports Nightly continues after this. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Leandra Riley. The Indiana Pacers need just 1 win in 2 outings. The New York Knicks need to win both of their 2 remaining games. Why do these teams need these things? Because finishing 7th in the conference means you face Boston in the playoffs. Finishing 8th means you face Chicago. So tonight, the Knicks and Pacers at Market Square Arena. Tough game for the Knicks. Early in the 3rd quarter, Detlef Schrempf grabs a loose ball, and he goes in. Pacers up by 16. 4th quarter action now. Schrempf again down the lane with a driving hook. The Pacers go up by 11. Now the Knicks try to mount a comeback. John Starks with the alley-oop from Charles Oakley. That would keep the game at 11 points. Later in the 4th quarter, Trent Tucker goes for the driving basket. It makes it a 10-point ball game. Rick Smits nails a turnaround jumper here as the Pacers win. Final score is 131-18, and if you're thinking playoffs, well, the Knicks didn't really lose that much because they have not beaten the Bulls or the Celtics this season. It looks like they're Bulls bound. Speaking of the Bulls, they are playing out the string, having already clinched the home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs. Chicago's in Charlotte looking to sweep the season against the Hornets. We'll pick it up in the fourth quarter. Mental lapse on the Hornets team as they walk off thinking time was called by Chicago. Jordan goes in for the easy jam. You don't need to make things easier for Michael. Later in the fourth quarter, the Hornets cut the Bulls' lead by 4. But Michael Jordan simply relentless off the rebound. Watch him as he puts it back in. Chicago goes up by 11 at this juncture, and they go on to win it. Final score was 115-99. Michael Jordan, 41 points. Meanwhile, the Celtics are in Cleveland hoping to end a 4-game skid, but it's not to be. The final from the Richfield Coliseum is 124-117. Cleveland beating the Boston Celtics. The Cavs are out of the playoff picture, have not beaten Boston this season. Until tonight, they're now 1-4 for the season. The Pistons and Hawks are at the Omni in Atlanta, and what could be a preview of the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Hawks have never beaten the Pistons this season in 4 tries, so here's what happened in their 5th encounter. Second half action, Dumar's terrific first half with 17 points. Just keeps on rolling. He nailed the tray there. Pistons up by 8. But Spud Webb answers right back with a triple of his own. That keeps the Hawks close. Then things got a little hairy. Spider Sally and Kevin Willis get into it. Willis throws a punch. Willis is thrown out of the game. But nothing would affect Joe Dumars. He was hot. Here he cans yet another tray. He had the feeling, and Detroit leads by 6. But the Hawks would simply keep on coming and take the lead. Dominique going baseline, hits the J. Atlanta up by a point. Late in the game, however, John Sally puts in a big layup, and Detroit goes up by 3. Pistons hang on to win. The final score is 126-120. Joe Dumars, 42 points. Isaiah, 20 points. Milwaukee Bucks and Minnesota Timberwolves have just gone final. Timberwolves winning this one 109-91. Bucks have lost the first 3 games of this 4-game road trip. Well, now they've lost all 4. Now let's talk about the Sixers and the Miami Heat. Charles Barkley in his 2nd game flies in for the jam. That knee looks strong to me. But Barkley wasn't enough tonight. Sherman Douglas goes strong to the hole for 2. And then it's Glenn Rice going over the big guy inside. Manute Bol for the jam. Yes, the Miami Heat beat the Philadelphia 76ers. The Heat have not beaten the Sixers this season. In fact, they've never beaten the Heat in their career. 0-11 was their record going into tonight. Now it's 1-11. Miami beating Philadelphia. And the Washington Bullets and Orlando Magic are meeting for only the 2nd time this season. 112-107 the final. Orlando wins this one. Washington won the first meeting by just 2 points in a closer game. Well, the top and the bottom of the Midwest Division are tangling in Denver. The Spurs are still trying to clinch the division championship. Counting tonight, they have 2 games left and a 1-game edge over Idle, Utah. The Nuggets, meanwhile, have the worst record in the NBA. In the fourth quarter, Denver trying to hang on 120-118, trying to shake that 10-game losing streak. And the Phoenix Suns against the Seattle Supersonics. The Suns have won 4 of 5 and are tied with the Spurs for a 3rd in the Western Conference playoff picture. Third quarter, Seattle leads 62-43. And Houston against Dallas is final. Dallas wins 113-107. Houston is now 3-1 against Dallas this year. Golden State against the Clippers. In the second quarter, it's 45-41. The Clippers would like to extend their 3-game winning streak and even their season series with the Warriors at 2 games apiece. Sacramento Kings against Portland. The Trailblazers with the best record in the NBA. And the Kings have not won on the road since November 20th. It doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight. Moving outdoors to Palm Beach Gardens in Florida, the Golden Bear has put some more distance between himself and the rest of the pack at the $550,000 PGA Seniors Championship. After 1 round, he had a 1-stroke lead. Today, he burned up the 2nd round to take a 5-stroke advantage after 36 holes. Arnold Palmer showed that he still has the putting stroke. He sizes up this 12-foot birdie and sinks it. 14th hole was one of the few bright spots for him this day. Jim Colbert fought to stay among the leaders. He confidently sinks a birdie on 14. That keeps him in the hunt. It's a Golden Bear who had the game today. He just simply could not miss on the green. He shows he has the right stuff here. Nicklaus finished at -12 for the day through 2 rounds. So it's Nicklaus, Dent, and Joyce. Meanwhile, at the Heritage Classic, only 58 of 118 golfers were able to complete their rounds before thunderstorms forced suspension of play. Chip Beck has a 1-shot lead with 2 holes still to complete in the 2nd round. The name Bjorn Borg is back in the sports news. It's comeback time for Sweden's King of the Court. Details when Sports Nightly continues. Welcome back. The Patrick Division Finals continue tonight on Sports Channel. The Washington Capitals and Pittsburgh Penguins at the Igloo. Now, the Caps took the opener in this best-of-7 series. Tonight in Game 2, it was Pittsburgh breaking out to an early lead, but it turned out to be a seesaw battle into overtime. Third period, 5-3 Penguins. Dino Ciccarelli scores a power play goal. A great effort in front. That makes it 5-4. Moments later, it's Ciccarelli again on another great individual effort, and this would tie the game at 5 goals apiece. It'll be moments later when Kel Johansson outmuscles 3 Penguins. He slips it in, and it's 6-5 Caps. But Pittsburgh answers back. Randy Gillen finds a loose puck, puts it by Mike Liut. It's tied at 6 into overtime. At 8:10 of the extra period, Ron Francis to Kevin Stevens. He gets it in the open side as the Penguins win by a touchdown. 7-6 the final score. Yes, this is hockey, but playoff hockey is a different breed. Okay, Game 3 will be Sunday night in Washington. The series is now even at 1 apiece. Adams division, Boston, Montreal. First period, Bork notches his second goal of the game, getting the deflection off Ken Hodges' leg. 2-0 Boston, but with 31 seconds left in the second, Shane Corson picks up the loose puck, puts it past a fallen Andy Moog. It's 2-1 after 2. Now in the third, Russ Courtnall finds another loose puck in front. He flips it over Moog. And this game's tied. Boston regains the lead, however, when Dave Christian blows one by Patrick Waugh. Montreal comes back. Stephane Richer brings in a loose puck at the side of the net. And at the end of regulation, this game's tied at 3-3. Let's go into overtime. It's Stephane Richer once more on the doorstep, poking in the game winner. Montreal gains the victory and the split at the Garden. So this series is even at 1 game apiece. Game 3 Sunday in Montreal. When you think of great sports writers, the name of Joel Buxbaum probably doesn't jump into your mind. But if you're involved in pro football, and in particular with the college draft, then you know all about Buxbaum. For over 15 years, he's been writing about the draft. Darrell Burnett has more on the man who turned his passion into a profession.
Brooklyn, New York, home to Coney Island's world-famous Cyclone, Nathan's world-famous hot dogs, and one of the brightest minds in professional football, though few know it, because not far from the bright lights of Coney Island, the lights are almost always on behind closed doors in this quiet neighborhood.
The best exposure in the world is the Senior Bowl. There's nothing even close to it. Pro coaching, everything done to show pro value.
Joel Buxbaum is at work, anonymous to most, except those who know pro football.
If I were to call up a player personnel director, a general manager, a team owner, and say, Joel Buxbaum is, what kind of a response would I get?
I think you get a varied response. Some people will say he does a nice job for the fans and the writers, gives them a pretty good idea of what will happen at the draft. He doesn't pretend that he's an expert and is a scout.
He does an excellent job. He's got contacts around the league. He's got contacts with the college coaches, and he works very hard at what he does.
The man who admittedly was never much of a student in school has turned into one of the best students of the game.
Right now you have the matchup, 21 with the corner, Joe Johnson, Herman Moore, the wide receiver. But the odds are it's going to end up a running play.
A hobby that grew into a full-time job with Pro Football Weekly has almost outgrown this small apartment. Books are stacked where tapes aren't, and Joel's mind is more crowded still, stacked and packed with football knowledge.
Rocket or smile?
Dynamic impact football player. He can go to from 0 to 60 faster than anyone I've ever seen. He's got as good a functional football speed as anyone. He's like Gale Sayers in the open field. But the big question is going to be the durability.
While the final decisions are in the hands of the NFL team Sunday, next year's prospects are already in these hands, as Joel Buxbaum works on the players to watch for 1992. Darrell Burnett, Sports Channel.
And as Joel Buxbaum can certainly tell you, the NFL College Draft of 1991 takes place this Monday. Now on Tuesday, Bjorn Borg will make his comeback debut in tournament tennis. After an 8-year retirement, Borg is entered in the Monte Carlo Open. Today's draw determined that Borg will face Jordi Arrese of Spain. Borg, who won 5 Wimbledon and 6 French Open titles between 1974 and 1981, is now 34 years old. Arrese is 26. In Davis Cup news, it was announced that the U.S. Davis Cup team will play its quarterfinal match against Spain in Newport, Rhode Island. Although it is still unclear exactly who will play for the U.S. at this time, grass court players are cheering because that's the surface at Newport. This match will be played just 2 weeks prior to Wimbledon. Well, there aren't many fillies that can claim a victory at the Kentucky Derby. In fact, there have only been 3. This year, there could be a 4th if Meadow Star can measure up. This 3-year-old Carl Icahn-owned filly is unbeaten in 9 races. Tomorrow, she's entered against the Colts, however, in the Wood Memorial. One of Meadow Star's recent victories was at the Conley Stakes. The distance just a mile. At the Wood, a mile and an 1/8. For a lot of reasons, this race will test this filly.
Everything concerns me. You know, she's never been this far. She's never been around 2 turns. She has worked around 2 turns on 2 occasions. And, of course, she's running against a totally different group of horses. So you just have to hope that she can take it all in and handle it as she has before.
And that's Sports Nightly. Good night.